Je dan zo ye zhang nam la jiang zhu bar do dan ne ge zo da ye xue xie ye wei zong nam de la ben jie zang ye zhu ba rai shu zang ye xue dan zo ye zhang nam la jiang zhu bar do dan ne ge zo da ye xue xie ye wei zong nam ge zha la ben jie zang ye zhu ba rai shu zang ye xue dan zo ye zhang nam Chanju bardo dane jazo jen da ye ju jen ye zana. Tola benjere san ye zhu ba ju sa je mandala offering. Sa je be je ju jen me do zham ri rab ling xie nin de jen ba de san ye xin do me de e wa yi. Zhu ge nam da jen la je ba ra ju. Yi da mong gu ru ran na mandala dam ni ya da ra ya. 관계 된진 저거 좀 가봐 매봐 개매봐 제봐 매봐 밤매봐 와매봐 좀 매봐 다대 되면 되지면 저반 시시대 로베 상계만 남게 담바데라 자제로 oh yeah greetings to everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, so a very a good day or good night to all of you. So today, as you remember, we will be talking about the subject of today. Please, first of all, please set our motivation, your motivation, to that of the Bodhisattva's motivation, which is to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Now, with that proper motivation of bodhicitta, let us delve into today's topic, which will be in praise of dependent origination. So this is devotional praise made by Lama Tsongkhapa, a 14th century Tibetan master, who is a great scholar and a great practitioner, a yogi, and a great poet too. And so he wrote this particular text in praise of dependent origination. So this it reads as if he is praising dependent origination, but dependent origination is the idea of dependent origination was spoken or expounded by Buddha Shakyamuni. So therefore, when one praises the achievement, when one praises the ideology or the philosophy of dependent origination, one is actually praising the creator, the genius behind the idea of dependent origination, which is none other than Lord Buddha. So we went very briefly last week to the first line, the first stanza. So we went through 4 lines already, but I would like to just reiterate, because it's a very important and very profound teaching. So we will do it once more. So usually, whenever we write a book or do anything, any auspicious thing, it is of utmost importance that we make what we call offering, the offering of homage, paying homage to the what we call the exalted beings, or the sublime beings. So which can be the triple gem, which can be our teachers, and so on and so forth. So in this particular text, and we also, so whenever not just during any during any of Dharma activities, but in particular, when you are writing a book, we have the treasure, which is the offering of homage, paying homage, and then we also have what is known as the goso chushi, which means the 3 points or three uh, three points. Sorry, goso chushi. So four points of which is some sort of a precondition for writing a book. And then also you have the main topic and then the conclusion. So that is always there. So we begin with the we begin with the homage. We begin with the offering, which is the offering of homage, and then we deal with the actual content of the book topic, and then we conclude it with the dedication prayer. So that is how we do it. So in the first line, in the first paragraph, the first stanza, the Lama Tsongkhapa is by praising Buddha Shakyamuni for his unparalleled way of teaching, unparalleled method of teaching, and unparalleled subject, the teaching subject, which is the dependent origination. So by praising, so we have this thing called Toba and Ngapa in Tibetan, which is which is loosely translated as praise in English. So Toba is something when you say something nice about somebody, like you look good, or so without much description, when you make when you praise someone, that is known as a Toba. And Ngapa is something you make an elaborate. So it is not an embellishment, but it is an elaborate way of describing why you are good in such and such way. So that is called ngapa. So Toba and ngapa, there are two things. Lama Tsongkhapa was, this is called Dendel Toba. The name of the book is Praise to the one who taught dependent origination. So generally, Toba is doesn't have that much description of why one is making a praise. Ngakpa usually should have a much more elaborate way of explaining why one is making such and such praise. But in this case, it is, but they are not contradictory. So if it is a ngakpa, then it should be a Toba, because when you are making an elaborate explanation of why you are praising someone, then it is, of course, it is a praise, and additionally, it is a praise with much more elaborate explanation. So in this case, Lama Tsongkhapa made a Toba, which is not also a ngakpa, which meaning, so this is a praise with an elaborate explanation of why Buddha Shakyamuni is worthy of such a praise. So this is not just what we call a flowery word alone, but something that is a praise that is actually rooted in deeper meaning. So therefore, Buddha Shakyamuni, he praises the Buddha Shakyamuni for imparting the teachings, a profound teaching of the dependent origination, and thus, because you taught us such a profound teaching, thus, so I bow down to you, I pay homage to you. So this becomes what we call paying homage. So the paying homage part is there. So this is what we call the offering of homage. Offering homage, offering offering homage is important in the case you will see that whenever we receive Dharma teachings, we bow down to the teacher. We do prostration and so on and so forth. So prostration or bowing down, which you see in, so well, you know, most of you know that anyway. So bowing down means you humble, you try to humble, you try to make yourself humble. You bow down, and you, whatever I have learned, whatever I know of before, let's just, you know, pause that. Let's just put that in a let's just keep that away for now, and then let me listen to whatever you are offering, whatever you are going to impart today. So therefore, this is the way of surrender in a sense. So whatever you have learned before, you surrender, or you just keep it. You just keep it safe. Um, um, mm, by the side, and then you listen to it. It's similar to changing cassettes. So when you want to listen to a new music, you change the old cassette and then you put a new cassette, and then you play the new cassette, and then you play the whole song, and then you know. So it's similar to that. And then at the end of listening to thousands of tapes, maybe you want to make a remix of your own. Maybe you want to, you want to mix, you want a collection of your own favorites. So that is what we do with Dharma practices, in a way, in a sense. I mean, in order to have a collection, you need to collect a lot. So you need to collect a huge number of Dharma teachings, collecting through intellectual collection, understanding, listening, and then as well as application of the same onto your own day-to-day practices, which will make you, which is similar to, which is collection of profound practices, in the, not just intellectually, but spiritually. Any case, in any way, now we will go with the first line. The first stanza starts with, "He who speaks on the basis of seeing, this makes him a knower and teacher unexcelled." So here one see, the Tibetan world, the Tibetan term used is zig. Zig is an honorific term for see, which can also mean to understand, to know. So something that can be known, something that is a subject of knowledge, something that is a subject of knowing, something that is a subject of an observer, a valid observer. To be seen, you have to be an object of a valid observer. When something is amiss, we will say, "Oh, I must be seeing things." That means you are actually not, what you are seeing is not really there. But if you really see something, that means the object, whatever that you are seeing, should be there. It should exist. Whether it is there or here is another matter, but the object should exist. So what happens here is Buddha teaches only the things that he has seen. So there are two, there's twofold meaning here. One is that whatever he says is the truth because he speaks only the things that he has seen. And the another thing is that whatever he has seen, he doesn't keep it for himself. So there is a word called, in Tibetan, we call it pikyu. So this is being stingy of one's knowledge. That is called a pikyu. So normally for being stingy or being miserly, we called it serna. Serna is the name for being miserly. But when one is being stingy with the knowledge that one has, so that if I impart such a precious teaching to someone else, then that person might become more knowledgeable than me, and eventually maybe they will become more famous and gain more wealth and so on and so forth. So therefore you are afraid, you fear their potential to, or their potential to grow. And by doing so, you hold onto the teachings that you have received and do not teach them. So there are two reasons for doing that. Sometimes teachers do not impart a particular teaching to a student because the student is not ready to receive such a profound teaching at that particular time, that particular moment. But then there can be some teachers, not all teachers are perfect. So like someone like myself, I can be I do fall in the category of knowing something and not being stingy about what knowledge that I have. Because if I impart everything that I know if I share everything that I have gained to others, then I will no longer be respected. I will no longer be
valuable as I am right now. So this has been a dilemma for a number of spiritual teachers, even though one has left everything materialistic. So gold, luxury, everything, it has no meaning for them. But when it comes to spiritual, like imparting a particular spiritual teaching, they kind of hold on to it. Well, what they're actually holding on to is ego. They do not want to let go of the fame, the name, which is attached with the ego. So the ego is the most difficult thing to let go of. You can let go of your wealth, your food, your sleep, your friends, your enemies, everything, even though they are difficult comparatively. The most difficult thing to give up is one's ego, because ego can manifest in different forms and make you feel like you really need them, and then it will be very difficult for you to let go of uh, the facade in which ego appears to lure you. So therefore, so Buddha is being, in what sense Buddha is being truthful? Buddha is being truthful in the sense that whatever he spoke is something that he has seen. So he says there is something at the end of the tunnel because he has actually been at the end of the tunnel and he sees something. He saw something, and he is telling us this is what is there at the end of the tunnel. And another thing is, whatever he saw at the end of the tunnel, he tells us. He's not saying, okay, he saw a beautiful stream and mountains and a lot of beautiful things at the end of the tunnel, but is telling us, okay, don't go beyond the tunnel because there is a lot of dangerous wild animals and so on and so forth. If he tells us that, then he's being stingy with the knowledge that he has. So there are two qualities that we can learn to we can learn from here. We can learn here that these are two very important qualities that the Buddha has, of the thousands of innumerable qualities that he has. These are one of very important one that is very practical with our day-to-day life too. And so we should try to impart that in our daily life as well. So he says, "I bow to you, O conqueror." I'm reading the third line. "I bow to you, O conqueror, you who saw dependent origination and taught it." So normally, whenever this is what we call indirectly telling us, indirectly or insinuating that he is writing a book. So normally, whenever when a person of certain stature, such as a great person, whenever a great person does something, it has to be there should be a meaning, there should be a point, there should be some intention to do something. So why is Lama Tsongkhapa making paying homage to Buddha all of a sudden, just like that? It is not part of his daily practices to pay homage to the Buddha. That he did already. So why is he making this taking this particular step to pay homage to Buddha Shakyamuni? So this implies that he is actually going to write the book. So usually we have this called Zombar Tamjawa, which means I will write the book, pledging to write a book. So whenever to become a complete scripture, Dharma text, one needs to have the Chobar Joba, the offering homage, and then the Zombar Tamjawa, which is to pledge that one will write a book, and then Zhongdeng, which is the principle or the main, the body of the text, and then Jugdua, which is the conclusion. So Zombar Tamjawa, or the agreement or the pledge to finish the book or write a book, can be seen here when he is making paying homage to the Buddha. So why is this great man paying homage to the Buddha all of a sudden? I mean, he can pray to the Buddha anytime, but is there a particular reason why he's doing so? Or the reason is that because he's going to write a book. So there is the reason, the importance, the necessity for doing this, the thing called Zombar Tamchawa, which is the pledging to write the book, is that when you pledge it in front of, so you pay homage to the Buddha, and whenever the Buddha appears, he doesn't comes he doesn't come, whether you see it or not is another matter, but whenever he appears, whenever he arises, he comes with the entourage of thousands of bodhisattvas and other great masters, great beings, sublime beings. And so when you make the pledge of writing the book, you're actually writing, you're pledging to write the book in the in front of all the in front of innumerable bodhisattvas and the Buddha himself. So therefore, when you make such a big pledge, when you make such a grand pledge, then it's like when you make such a great announcement, then you are bound by you are bound to keep it. So when you make a statement, like when you make for example, in today's time, when you make a Facebook statement that you're going to do this or that, and then let's say you make a Facebook statement saying, I will, every other day, I will post a beautiful picture or say something nice about somebody, do something positive. And then I will do every other day, I will do a positive thing and I will post it on Facebook. And you do it for 1 week and then you fail to do so, then we always have this, so we will be guilt trapped. So guilt is good and bad in different ways. Guilt or regret in Buddhist terms is seen as something shengyur, which is transformable. So it can be transformed into good or bad depending on what you are feeling guilty of. If you are feeling guilty or regretting something good, then it becomes bad. It becomes a negative force. If you regret something bad, then it becomes a good thing. So when you make an announcement of such a great scale, then you are bound to keep it. So there are there is a higher chance that you will be able to keep the commitment, and then you will be able to complete whatever action that you have decided to do. So that's why so there is this what we call dendel. So Tibetan, we always say dendel, which is like a good omen. But the literary translation of dendel would be dependent origination. So dendel means dependent origination, and dependent the basic the core of dependent origination is because of this, that arises. This arises because of that. So that is the meaning of dendel. That is the meaning of dependent origination. Because of that, this arises. This arises because of that. So therefore, we say whenever we do a good thing, we say this is a demdel, because we start something good. This will put into motion a dominoes effect of this will put into motion a number of good things. Put into motion a chain of number of good things. Whatever we do. That is why we think it is important to, in Tibetan tradition, the first day of the first month is very important. And whenever we start something like doing a Dharma teaching, launching a book, or doing something else, whatever good thing we are doing, we do it on an auspicious day. So this becomes a dendel. So dendel literally means dependent origination. And the gist of dependent origination is because of this, that arises. This arises because of that. So because I've implanted a positive seed today, then a chain of positive effect will take place. Because of this, those will arise, or those will follow. This arises because of that. That arises because of this. So this thing is the gist of what the meaning of dependent origination, in a sense. So we generally, this is the gist of what dependent origination means. But then there are, of course, a coarser level of dependent origination and subtle level of dependent origination, which we will study, which we will learn as we go further with the book. So I bow to you, O conqueror, you who saw dependent origination and taught it. Now that is the first line, and then I mentioned the importance of the four entities or four preconditions, which is what we call goso chushi, the necessity, and the necessity, the ultimate, the need, the ultimate need, the topic or the subject, and the connection between all four of them, the three of them. So these are the preconditions for. So back in India, when a pandita, books are only written only by, unlike today's time, books are written only by scholarly people, and when they write a book, there are certain preconditions, conditions that apply for writing a book, and so these are like chuju, the making offering of homage. So I mentioned earlier. So the three things are the important, and on top of that, when one has to write the goso chushi should be there within the teaching itself. The goso chushi, the four entities, the four preconditions, or the four entities of precondition. These are the goba, which is goba means the need or the necessity of why writing this particular book, and nyingu is the ultimate goal or ultimate necessity. So goal, ultimate goal, topic, and connection. So these four: goal, ultimate goal, topic, and connection, relation. So the first is called ultimate purpose. Oh yeah, thank you, Dan. So the ultimate purpose, ultimate purpose, goso, goba, nyingu, deva, joja deva. So the first thing is purpose. Why you are writing this particular book? So just to simply put it, he is writing this book because Lama Tsongkhapa felt indebted to the Buddha for imparting such a precious teaching, and he wants to elucidate the importance of this particular teaching, this particular philosophy, which is dependent origination. So in a way, it seems like he's making a praise to the Buddha, but praise in general means, usually when we make a praise, it's about, oh, you look good, you smell good. It's mostly appearance-wise. It's mostly it's mostly sense-wise. The five senses, sensual. We usually, most of the time, a number of times when we make a praise to someone, we praise someone for their, it's a sensual praise. And there are certain times when we praise someone for their ability, which can be, described non-sensual in a sense. But then, like for example, if you praise someone for having such a good voice or singing a very nice song, this actually attributes to the vocal qualities of that person. So therefore, this is again a sensual thing. So most of the time we praise someone for, okay, someone make a lot of money, someone makes achieves something in the Olympics and so on and so forth. So it's usually sensual. But here Lama Tsongkhapa did something totally different, and he praises Buddha for imparting the teaching of imparting the philosophy of imparting the knowledge of the dependent origination. So this is something unique and has never done before. So this we will come in the following text, following lines. So the first, the purpose of the purpose of writing this book is to, in a sense, the purpose of writing this book is to impart to elucidate to elucidate the importance of this particular philosophy, the dependent origination, and by doing so, pay homage to the Buddha. This is the purpose. And what is the ultimate purpose? The ultimate purpose is, of course, by doing so, when the people who read, the reader of this particular text gains knowledge from this particular text and studies the dependent origination and so forth, and then gains insight into the reality, ultimate reality of all phenomena, and then attains enlightenment, then this will be the ultimate goal. So you have the goal, ultimate goal, and the ultimate goal, purpose and the ultimate purpose you have there, and the topic. So the topic, what we call, literally we just call it topic, but then what it means, what it entails, it should be, what it entails is that it should be a valid topic. So valid meaning something that is meaningful or useful. So a particular, an example we usually use, maybe it's a little different in the Western context here, because in the West we have this thing from the Greeks. We say the knowledge itself is virtue. So the pursuit of knowledge itself is virtue. So therefore, whatever knowledge you are going to gain, it is of it is a virtue. So you should gain them. But the things are a little different here in the Buddhist context. Knowledge of so there is a particular text in Namdye Tsawa, Pramana Vartika, the commentary to the commentary to the logic, the commentary to the logical explanation by Acharya Dharmakirti. So when he says so which means so Buddha is Buddha, we regard that Buddha has omniscient mind, omniscient perception. So Buddha sees everything. Even though Buddha sees everything, we do not hold him in high regard because he sees everything, such as the actual number of how many grains of sands are there in the Ganges river. Even though that is something that he knows, but this is of no importance for us. So we are not, when we say Buddha has omniscient mind, we are not holding him in high regard because he understands, he comprehended he knows each grains of the sand in the river Ganges, not because of that, but because he knows what to adopt and what to abort, what things to take into, what things one should practice, what things one should abandon. So because so this is also applies here. In the Buddhist context, a valid topic is something that is helpful for someone's growth. So you can pretty much say a constructive topic. So if it is a destructive topic, then this can be brushed off. So even though this may become, if you write on a topic that is destructive, then even though it may be labeled as a, even though it is a book, it may not be fit to be labeled as a Buddhist Dharma book. For Dharma book has to be constructive. So we are, so this entails the topic aspect. The topic should be valid topic. So valid topic is something meaningful, something constructive, something brings to the growth of, something brings to your growth, either physically, mentally, and spiritually, so on and so forth. So when you have those, and then there should be a connection. The last thing is connection. Connection meaning all these three should be related. So if you are teaching, let's say you are if your goal, if your purpose is to bring someone into nirvana, but then you are telling the topic that you are teaching, that you are imparting, the topic that you're writing or speaking is about, let's say, how to get to hell. The purpose of writing this book is to get you to heaven, but the topic that you are writing is to how to get to hell, then this does not connect. There is no connection here. So then the connection will fail, and this will not be a proper danger or a proper Buddhist text, Dharma text. So all these four should be here. And then in the in the text that we just in the first 4 lines, in the first stanza we just read, we can see all of them here. So when we say Kanshi Seishin Songbai, you cannot remember Kanshi Seishin Songbai, the first line, he saw, I mean, he spoke what he saw. This is the goba, or the purpose. So the purpose of writing this book is so that the people who read this will be able to see the truth, see the reality. The second line is that this makes him a knower and teacher unexcelled, meaning the second and the third line, the second and the third line, the second and the third line explains both the Ningui, which is Ningui, the ultimate purpose, which is to attain enlightenment, which is to attain Kenda Dhamma Laname. The ultimate goal is to attain excellent, the position of the ultimate goal is to attain the ultimate goal. The ultimate purpose is to attain the position of knowing and teaching unexcelled, knower and teacher unexcelled. So when one has become the knower unexcelled, so when one's knowledge becomes unparalleled, then that person is the fittest person to teach. So the person with unparalleled knowledge is the fittest person to teach, the best teacher in the world. So this is what we are going to become. Well, this should be our ultimate goal, ultimate purpose, to become the ultimate knower, or to become to attain the omniscient mind, which is the ultimate knower. There's no secret, nothing is shrouded from the omniscient mind, which we can attain only when we become Buddhas. And once we become the Buddhas, once we become enlightened ourselves, then should we just rest and enjoy our time? Not really. We actually impart the knowledge that we have upon others and enlighten other people as well. So that is the ultimate purpose or ultimate goal that is also there. And the second line, the third line, I bow to you, O conqueror. So in Tibetan, actually, this is the third line, but in English, you have that as the fourth line. I bow to you, O conqueror, who you saw dependent origination and taught it. So in Tibetan, the fourth line is in third line, but due to grammatical structure, we have to put it that way. So dependent origination is the Joja, is the topic. So we have the topic here. And since Lama Tsongkhapa wishes to impart the knowledge of dependent origination to us, and through imparting the knowledge of dependent origination, one will attain enlightenment and thus gain or the position of ultimate knower and ultimate teacherhood. So, and then the topic which he is teaching is dependent origination itself, and they're all connected. So we have all four here: purpose, ultimate purpose, valid topic, and the connection. So all four are there. So, and in another sense, whenever the first line, the first stanza, in this case, in this particular text, the first stanza is also what we call Lu Namsha, which means the essence, the essential body. So just bear with me for now. And this is the term we use in Tibetan, Lu Namsha. So Lu here means the body. Lu in Tibetan means body. Namsha is explanation. But the essential body, or the essence, the essence of the teaching, the essence of the book is explained in the essence of the book, the whole Praise to Dependent Origination is actually contained within the first four lines, the first stanza, the first sholoka, which is when Lama Tsongkhapa says, "You who saw dependent origination and taught it." So dependent origination is the topic that we will be talking about in the whole sense. So this is called Lhundup. Lhundup means essence of the book, essential topic or essence of the book. The reason, so also another important part of writing a book is you have to put the essential. So this is similar to a table of contents in today's time. So back in the day, instead of table of contents, we have the Lhundup. So by looking at the Lhundup, you will know the topic of that particular book. So you don't have to go through. If you are looking for another book, like if you are looking for maybe say how to develop bodhicitta, or maybe how to develop the compassion. So maybe you don't have to look at this book because this actually deals with dependent origination. So you will know. So this is called Lhundup. So je tombe like this. So that actually completes. That actually is the explanation of the first line. The second line is. So maybe just read in Tibetan first. Kangi tenjin de war chung wore. Kangi session sumba ye kenda temba lana me gyawa tenjin de war session sumba tala do. That is the first line. And the second line is jigden guba chinye ba te zawa mari de. Kangi tongye te dongwa tenjin de war chung songs. So jigden so I will read line to line. Jigden guba chinye ba, or whatever degeneration there is in the world. The root of all these is ignorance. So this is actually explained in a number of innumerable texts by the followers, Nagarjuna himself and his followers. So in a number of texts, the root of all evil, the root of all negativities actually is ignorance. And Buddha himself said that in the sutra, because of our ignorance, because of our unawareness, because of our not knowingness, we commit mistakes. And through the mistakes that we have committed, we reap what we sow. So that's that. So we make the mistakes of not knowing what to take and what not to take, what to abort and what not to abort, what to abort and what to adopt. And a number of times we give into temptation and we adopt the things that we should not be. We adopt things we should be aborting, and we abort things we should be adopting. For example, compassion. So in a number of well, nowadays it's a changing world, but back in there was a time when people see compassion as weakness, and instead of developing compassion, cultivating compassion towards each other, towards each other's community, towards each other's countries, towards each other's society, one sees compassion as a sign of weakness, and instead of cultivating compassion oneself, instead of teaching compassion to one's kids, instead of imparting the knowledge of importance of generating compassion to your friends, to your circle, we teach them to be brave. So brave is not something bad, but our understanding of braveness is to do with being bold and being burly and showing to the other person that I am stronger or faster or harder than you are, and so on and so forth, fiercer than you, and so on and so forth. So that, like, by by imposing fear in other person, we feel that is the way to win. That is the way. That is the way to win in your life. But in all actuality, it is not so. It is compassion. And if you remember, well, there are many modern day great people, great beings who actually embraced compassion, not because they are afraid, but because they see that as the ultimate tool to win. One very good example, one great example is, I think most of you know, it is Mahatma Gandhi, the father of nonviolence, whom so we all know about Mahatma Gandhi. So he is the one who said, if so he chose, I forgot the quote anyway. So he said he chose nonviolence because that is the right tool to win the battle that he is fighting for. If he's not doing it because he's meek, and that has actually been adopted by a number of fellow nonviolent activists and famous nonviolent activists and so on and so forth. Anyway, so let's go back to the ignorance here. So ignorance is the root of all causes, root of all negativity, because we do not know. We do not know what to eat, and we do not know. So I mean, even in Christian theology, it is the same thing. You know, we do not know what to do, what to eat, and we eat the wrong thing, wrong fruit, and you know, there's the plethora, innumerable things to do and to eat and to enjoy and sort of all those things, but we have to, you know, we can't let go of our temptation and have to have to take the very thing that we were forbidden to do so, and then because of that we, you know, we are in the situation that we are. So it's ignorance, because we do not know what this will entail, what this will curtail, what are the consequences. So therefore, whatever degenerations that are in the world, the root of all this is ignorance. And there are many layers of ignorance. So there are ignorance of like not knowing what is in, whether my phone battery is full or not. So, you know, they're slightly important, because if it is the battery is about to deplete, then the network, the teaching, the streaming will cut off abruptly. So I have to check, I have to know that if I do not, if I'm not aware of whether the battery in my phone is full or not, then the streaming might cut off abruptly, and then there will be a inconvenience caused for everyone. So like that, this is what we call ignorance of coarser level, or ignorance, ordinary ignorance. And root of everything, root of all the ordinary ignorance, so is the extraordinary ignorance, maybe not the right term to use, the ultimate ignorance, or tartuba, the extreme ignorance. That is the ignorance of ignorance towards the reality of all phenomena. And the reality of all phenomena actually is that no phenomena, no entity exists inherently. Nothing exists. So inherent existence is something, I don't know, I do not have the that much of a strong grasping of what it entails in English, the word inherent, or but in Tibetan we say rangshin, and rangshin means rangshin ki motuba, rangme ne motuba. So rangshin or rangme, rangshin means nature. And when we say rangshin ki motuba, it actually means nothing, actually no things exist naturally. So I've seen a number of people when when I try to converse with people in English about things not existing inherently, actually they seem to not, and they seem to get it very fast. Either you know, it can be the fact that a number of our Western, you know, His Holiness always says that, and I believe too, our Western Dharma friends are actually very intelligent, very smart, very sharp, and it could be that, or either maybe they're not getting the the in-depth meaning of what inherent existence mean. Anyway, so when I try to when we communicate on the inherent existence, it seems to get along quite well. But when we actually explain this to ourselves in Tibetan, Rangshin ki matuba, like things do not exist. Rangshin means nature, essentially. As, nothing exists essentially. Nothing exists naturally. So when we say that, this actually shakes off, makes you feel uncomfortable. And as I mentioned in the very first series of our teaching, when understanding when one is studying emptiness, the first experience is that you don't feel anything. It's because this is something new to you, and the second experience is that it actually scares the hell out of you, because nothing exists. Nothing ultimately exists. Nothing naturally exists. So that is actually scary. So there was anyway, then when you reach the third stage, there's nothing to be scared of because nothing exists ultimately. So there are three stages. I don't have, so I remember this teaching by, I was listening to a Vedantic monk, a Hindu monk, who was a great scholar, and I really like him. I forgot his name. He's a, so he was saying that during his teachers told him that when they were told as a kid, if you do this and this and that, you will not go to heaven, you will go to hell. The kids were, okay, we will not do that, we will do this and we will not do that. And but they will make the same mistake. And the reason is because people, the kids, as kids, they don't really believe in hell or heaven, or because, today's time we have everything in it. Everything has to be proven, either through computation or through implied science, or through mathematical science or implied science, and so on and so forth. It has to be proven. If you cannot see it, if someone says, like, if you do that, I will come and beat the hell out of you, then you will do it. If you say, if you do this thing, then some demon with come and pick you up and take you to the woods and so on and so forth, you will not do it because you don't believe in such a thing. Because it is not, the reason is because our faith in such things have actually degraded. Similarly, when our faith in the understanding, let's say, our faith in the understanding of what actually what is the thing? Inherent existent, intrinsically existing, or inherently existing, when they fail, when our faith in the understanding of intrinsic, non-existent, of intrinsically existing phenomena, when our faith in such a philosophy fails, degrades, then it doesn't really scare us, because okay, things do not exist inherently, but it does exist, right? So what? So there's nothing to worry about. But what happens is when something, because everything seems to be going right, everything seems to be functioning normally at the moment, so that's why you're not worried. But when something goes amiss, when something a little bit, one clock in the big machinery that is your life seems to go off, not to function properly, then you will shout, you will get excited, you will get, because you have been thinking all the time that things do exist inherently, that everything is essentially there, everything is taking place naturally, everything is taking place ultimately, something is there, That's why the ultimate is actually much stronger word. Literal translation of Rangshingi Meba is inherent existence, but ultimate is a much stronger word, because we always feel like there's something out there ultimately that is, taking good care of us, something out there ultimately that is being vicious about our life, and so on and so forth. And that's why we need to personify something. We have political leaders that we hate so much, and we have celebrities that we envy, not envy, maybe what we call that. Well, it is a form of jealousy, jealousy, but we actually shroud them in the sense of, oh, they are such a vain, and so on and so forth. And there are people we love so much, right? Because we need a personification, embodiment of virtue. That's why we love the Dalai Lama. That's why we love Gandhi. That's why we love, all those great so-called, let's just say, so-called great people. And then we want, even though, for example, I don't know if this may be a controversial thing to say. During the Second World War, there are a number of political leaders who were actually so cruel and actually responsible for putting thousands of people, millions of people to death. But then we want to, we want a few culprits, and one of them is, of course, Adolf Hitler, and he is the personification of evil, and we really want to, blow him up through. So there should be an ultimate something, ultimate good and ultimate bad. Without that, we are not satisfied. We're not content, because we have always been feeling, we have always been experiencing, we have always been our experience of the world, our experience of life has always been ultimately something is there. Ultimately, the best food, the most beautiful thing, so ultimate, the extreme, the edge. This is something that actually makes us feel alive, and something that actually enlivens us, and which is really wrong. Because when things seems to be going in the right direction, it seems to be okay. But when it goes wrong, then it's total destruction. One good example is a big match. Let's say Super Bowl. So there are two teams competing, and so eventually one will win and the other will lose. And for the winners, from the winners' side, the winners, the fan, the fan of the winner, the fans of the winner, they are so excited, so happy, so good, feeling so good, because the ultimate embodiment of their desire is actually manifested in the form of victory. And for the losers' side, it is total destruction. They cry, they're in tears, and they're really sunken, and then total destruction. So because we want everything to be so ultimately out there, ultimately true. And so that ultimate true, the search for the ultimate truth, which actually isn't there, is the root of all the causes. Because of our ignorance, of not knowing, unawareness, let's just use the word unawareness, our being unaware of a fact, a phenomena called in non-existence, negation of ultimate existence. Because of our unawareness of such a phenomena, we feel trapped. We are in the degenerating stage. We are in that crumbling stage. Lack of awareness, also a good word. So therefore, So what does dependent origination play? What is the part that dependent origination plays here? So dependent origination says, if you remember in the beginning, I said, because of this, that arises. This arises because of that. That arises because of this. So present is possible because of the past, and future will be possible because of the present. So we have three things, right? This arises because of that, and that will arise because of this. So everything is a chain of momentum, chain of command. I don't know how to phrase that. So there is a chain of succession. When you know that nothing is naturally responsible for either your happiness, good things, or bad things. All things, all phenomena, all events, all incidents take equal responsibility in bringing you the experience that you are going through right now. So when you know that it is not one particular incident, person, culture, or one particular entity that is actually making you rise your blood or making you so blissful. So it is combination. It is a combination of a succession of things taking place that actually makes you experience what you are going through. So therefore, this successive these successive incident, these successive things arising. This arises because of that. That arises because of that will arise because of this. So everything is equally important. There was a, and when we see that, we will not be holding responsible one person, one incident for the fall of your life, or the biggest fall of your life, or this or that or whatever, that you will not put blame onto one particular thing. And so, and that will make your life ease, if this is what you're looking for. If you just want an easy life, that is what this is what you're going to get. If you have a proper understanding of dependent origination, then you will have a better life. His Holiness was talking about, one day His Holiness explained, said that it was during one of those the Mind and Life conferences. So he was recalling an earlier incident where he actually had a conversation with some scientist, particularly quantum physicist. So in the quantum theory, there is nothing ultimately, there to just, we cannot pinpoint at one ultimate thing and say this is it. So people who are really devoted, dedicated to quantum mechanics, and really believe in this, have strong faith in the belief. Maybe belief is not the right word. The philosophy, the quantum, the theory of quantum mechanics. They tend to have less. From their point of view, their lives seems to be less problematic, in the sense they do not have to react. They are not prone to react as other people are, because we feel like there's something there. There's something is responsible for either our good or bad thing that's happening to us. So then we have to react immediately, because if I don't get this, if I lose this opportunity, everything was gone. If this is a good thing. So I have to take this opportunity. If I lose this opportunity, everything goes amiss. And the bad thing, I have to say something back. I have to retort to. I have to write a rebuttal for whatever that person, the criticism that person has hurled at me, because that person has actually tarnished my image, and so on and so forth. So this is the most important thing I should be doing, and if I miss this, then everything is lost. because this really counts. This really counts because this is ultimately there, you know. But it's actually, and that makes you actually, that makes you lose a number of, that makes you actually go through a number of sleepless nights. And so one, I will complete by, I finish by one story, one story. So there was a, so there was a simple villager. So there was a guy who, you know, he was walking from one village to another village, and he got really hungry, so hungry, and he couldn't find anything to eat. And he finally, when he reached the other village, the villagers there are very recipient, very warm people. So they offered him food. So he ate. But he actually, that is not the last destination. He has to go somewhere again. So he kept eating, and he ate and ate and ate, and people are really surprised surprised at his appetite, how much he can eat. And actually, he was also surprised he can eat that much, you know. But he was so hungry he could eat a lot, and he ate and ate and ate. And then, like, you know, maybe he says he ate something like 40 breads, you know, 40 pieces of, let's say 40 pieces of donuts. And at the end of when he finished everything, people thought, oh, now he's satisfied, he's so happy, you know, he'll be happy. But then he started crying. He started crying, and people were wondering, what happened, why are you crying? Aren't you full? Shall we get you some more? No. I've been so stupid. What happened? And he said, I ate 40 donuts. Am I stupid or not? To fill my stomach. When I ate the 40th donut, I became full. My stomach is full then. If I'm wiser, I would have eaten the 40th donut first and then kept the rest and carried that over to the next village, to my ultimate destination. So because I was such a fool, I kept eating the wrong donuts, and then so I was never satiated until I ate the right donut. So I've been such a fool. And so he was crying like that, and the whole crowd laughed, and so on and so forth. So this is the thing. I mean, you know, I think we are all having a laugh at this, laugh at his expense. But this is what we do in our day-to-day life. We always think the 40th donut, the 40th donut is the ultimate answer to our contentment, our satiation, our life, and so on and so forth. So that is actually the manifestation of ignorance, the ultimate ignorance. So we'll conclude here for today, and then open up for questions. You can ask questions, please.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, this is Jackie. You spoke earlier.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello. You spoke earlier about the ego and how
the ego. Okay.
Yeah, how it you know, sometimes it makes you feel like you need it. I was just wondering if there's techniques to stop that. You know, if there's any training you can do, mental.
Oh, sure. So this is so there is a particular line from the Kadamba master which says between wealth and poverty, I will choose poverty, because if I become wealthy, then I will, you know, go into wane. Between fame and defame, I will choose defame, because if I get fame, then I will fall into wane. I feel egotistic, and then I will start dictating to other people. I will manipulate my power and use other people, and so on and so forth. So the Kadamba technique is that we need to balance ourselves in the sense our mental. We need to balance our mental health or mental stability. When it weighs too much in the form of ego, we need to find within ourselves. So one way to find one way to cut down on ego is that we need to look within yourself and find out the things that you are not proud of. So there's a number of things that we are not proud of and we have done, and look when we contemplate on those things, things that we have not been able to achieve, things that we have not been able to we were not so proud of. When we contemplate on those things, then ego will have no place to stay, and ego will gradually submerge. And then of course you use the same method to uplift yourself when you feel like you are a total loser, there's nothing is working right, and so on and so forth. Then again you look at yourself and look at all the achievements that you have made and how far you have reached so far, and so on and so forth. So in order to reach mental stability, in order to reach palanyel, the calmness of mind, you take the appropriate step. So in order to curb down on ego, you need to think, you need to contemplate on the weaker side of yourself, whatever things that you have not been able to accomplish or achieve. And if you contemplate on those for a certain amount of time, then you will see the ego gradually excusing himself.
Thank you very much. I also, if it's okay, I had one other question.
Sure. I think it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Your last statement about how we, our 40th donut, and how we ultimately think we will find contentment in the 40th donut. Are you saying that in terms of ultimate reality, we need to come to terms that we'll never be content? Or
okay. So the ultimate, there's no such thing as the ultimate donut, right? It's not the 40th donut that actually satiated your hunger. It was actually the chain reaction of all the 40 donuts combined that actually made you feel satiated. So therefore, similarly, because of this, that arises. Because of all the preceding donuts that you have eaten, you feel full. So in that sense, there is no one entity that that is the ultimate one. That actually, there is no one entity that trumps all. So we feel like there is such an entity that will trump everything else, because we always believe everything to be ultimately true, and it is the same thing when there's a good thing like such as a donut to satiate our hunger. We feel like there is the ultimate donut that will fill our hunger, and even though we do not do that with the donut, but in a number of things in our life, in things we call achievement and things we call attainment, our goal, and so on and so forth, we feel like that is the personification of the best me, and I have to be that, I have to reach there, and this is the ultimate representation. This is the ultimate representation of the best I can be, and so I should be there. So these would actually lead you into more. There is a higher chance that this will not manifest, and when they do not manifest as you perceive them to be, then it will actually lead you into destruction.
So at some point, being content with whatever your situation is helpful then?
It's heartful or hopeful?
Heartful.
Helpful. Oh yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, that's the point that we're trying to get to, right?
It is. So one thing is important, that so when we say contentment, we are not talking about So everything in moderation here. The moderation is the key word here. So contentment doesn't mean like, okay, you do not. So in life, as in worldly life as well as in spiritual life, you need to work hard. If you do not work hard, if you do not do any work and just say, okay, I'm content with whatever I have, and then actually you are failing yourself. So you have to work hard, but work hard at the same time. While working hard, work hard with the mentality that nothing is ultimately true and nothing ultimately matters. So when you work, you set a goal for you set a goal for yourself, and you work towards achieving. You work towards completing that goal. But at the same time, at the corner of your mind, be aware that even if you cannot fulfill that goal, it doesn't really matter, because that goal does not exist ultimately. So that will not make you lose, that will not make you have sleepless nights if something goes wrong.
But does that apply to spiritual goals also?
Both, either spiritual or life goal, like worldly goals. You need to set a goal. So this is like, remember the story of the mad elephant in the dream. So you are in the dream, it's not a real elephant, it's a dream, and it's not an elephant, but at the same time the elephant is real in the dream itself. It is a real elephant. So it's a real dream elephant, and it can kill the dream you. So therefore, in order to save the dream you need to walk your ways around the mad elephant. That is important. But at the same time, from the bottom of your heart that this is all a dream. So it's of let's use another example. A video game.
Or the snake rope. Okay.
Well, snake rope is also good. I mean, when you have a video game or a dream, then you actually land yourself in there, right? So let's say a video game. I don't know if you have ever played a video game, if you're a video game fan or not. But if you had played any simulation game, a video game, then when you are actually when I was younger, I used to play a lot of video game. So when you are playing the video game, especially the simulation games, you feel like you are actually the character that is in the game. You actually become, you assimilate yourself as the person in the game, character in the game, and then you fight. You have to save your life, you have to kill your opponents, you have to fight, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, you as the player, you as the controller, you as the controller of the device, know that this is a game. Even if you die in the game, you don't have to worry, because it's all a game. But when you are playing the game, you have to pay full attention, whether there is an enemy car coming or enemy guns or someone trying to kill you or not. You have to be very you have to be alert at all times. So this is it's similar to that sense. So in life also, one has to be aware of the fact that nothing is ultimately true, but at the same time, in that not so ultimately true world you are living, and so therefore you will, even though nothing is ultimately true, you will be feeling not ultimately true pain, and you will be going through not ultimately true trauma, and also you'll be experiencing not ultimately true happinesses as well. So you can enjoy them as well as you are aware of the fact that they are not ultimately true, like the game, the simulation game, and yourself, the yourself in the game and yourself outside of the game.
That was very helpful. Thank you, and I apologize for taking up so much time to the other people.
Yeah, that was actually a good question, though. Thank you.
Rinpoche, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Can you
Please
hear
go
me?
on.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
I think one of the Western obstacles, the Western mind has a difficulty with dependent origination because we've been conditioned to believe in a God, in one creator. And I think when you dive deep into inherent existence, you're calling that into question for most Westerners. And in fact, on our dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust." So that conditioning
Right.
is there on a variety of levels, both for us in a way, very concrete, and also on these subtle levels. And, it really is a peeling away at the nature of this. And I just wanted to ask you, in the Heart Sutra, the famous line, "Form is emptiness and emptiness is form." I'm piecing together, obviously, the connection between quantum physics and emptiness, but I was also thinking of that line, "Form is emptiness and emptiness is form." I was thinking of the Taoist concept of formlessness. Is there any place in all of this to kind of, just as the beginner mind, to baby step our way into emptiness with just looking at all things being formless? Could that also help us in our
Absolutely.
gateway? And also, I just want to say,
Absolutely.
you said chain reaction. You kept saying chain reaction. I think the term that the Dalai Lama uses a lot, and Rinpoche, Khenpo Rinpoche, uses, is cause and effect. So that cause and effect. I don't know. I don't want to correct you, because both things mean the same thing. But I think a lot of us have been hearing cause and effect. I don't know if those are interchangeable. But can we begin from form is emptiness and emptiness is form? Is there connection to the Taoist concept of formlessness? And is that a way to begin this process of letting go of the one creator? Because we really can't truly understand any of this unless we're, as Westerners, willing. And that's why the Dalai Lama is questioning whether we get it. He's questioning whether we're ready to abandon those things that are within us and conditioned every time we hand you a dollar bill.
Right. These are very, very, very relevant and interesting questions. Actually, all three of them. Okay, so that is a dilemma that I face when I try to explain law of causality, cause and effect, as you just mentioned. Well, my explanation of chain events and cause and effect, or law of causality, are a little different. Yeah. So I mean, in the sense, a dependent originated thing is actually dependent origination actually takes place in the realm of law of causality, cause and effect. So but that is another. Well, we can talk about that later. So the first thing is, when I try to explain, people think in the text, in the Dharma text, emptiness is the most profound. Emptiness is purported as the most important, most profound teaching of all. But when I explain emptiness in the West, I don't have much problem. They actually can comprehend much better than our brothers in the Tibetan community and non-Western communities. But when I explain law of causality, karma, the law of causality, karma, then I can see that it is not getting there at all. And this I found, I had this I made this discovery like in 2015, and which is maybe and then this actually, the root of that, the root cause for that is actually as what you explained, the upbringing, and the upbringing in a theistic sort of a society, and embedded with the idea of a notion of a God with a capital G. So there is the ultimate puppeteer. There's an ultimate player. There's the ultimate player. There's an ultimate puppeteer who is actually controlling every little moves that you are doing. And so therefore, this is something very. It is a huge obstacle, as you mentioned. I didn't realize it is an obstacle for realizing emptiness, but it certainly, I discovered that it was certainly a huge obstacle for people with theistic background. So not just Westerners, people with theistic background, who had a theistic upbringing, for them to let go of an ultimate player. And when you cannot let go of an ultimate player, then you will not be able to gain profound understanding of law of causality. Because when I explain law of causality, what they think is, okay, there is no creator God in Buddhism, but then there is the karma. Instead of karmas with small k, it would be the karma with a capital T and a capital K. There is a the karma. So who is a powerful, all-powerful force. So this karma is no longer a person as an atheistic God, but this is an all-powerful force which is in control of everything, and that is not true. When we say law of causality, we are not talking about one powerful, most powerful, ultimate source of power called the karma. There's no such thing. It is actually, as you mentioned earlier, it's actually chain of reactions that we create, a chain of reactions that we create, and then it falls back on us. So karma
it sounds like that phrase. I'm sorry, that phrase, causes and conditions, plural. Not one cause,
right, plural.
One condition. Causes, and if you believe in the causes of conditions of dependent origination, then you have to question the one player.
Right.
That was really profound. Thank you for tying that to karma. I don't want to take too much of your time, but please finish.
Sorry?
Please finish what you're saying. Please finish what you were just saying. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. So unless one is so the reason one has to borrow an ultimate player, one has to bring an ultimate player in everything that you experience in your life, is because you believe in something. Back to what I just said, you believe in everything to be ultimately true. So if everything is happening, all these sophisticated mental factors that we are experiencing, all these sophisticated things that is going on in the universe, and people attacking each other, people being nice to each other, people taking care of each other, people ignoring each other, all these sophisticated machinations cannot come by itself. It cannot be chain of reactions. It cannot be ripples. It cannot be ripples of the ocean. It cannot be the waves of the ocean. It cannot be the ripples of the water. It should be these ripple effects, these waves of ocean are actually made by someone out there, someone ultimately out there, someone looking maybe up there, someone ultimately up there, and either enjoying or finding enjoying the foolishness that we are all embroiled in. So that someone ultimately out there who is responsible for all the ripple effects, all the waves that is taking place in the world. As we know from so this is what we bring into the ocean. There's huge number of ripple effects. There is all those waves and all those ripple effects in the water. Actually, they are not made by one creator. The ripple effects or the waves in the ocean is not made by one person. There are a chain of reactions taking place, chain of events taking place. So there's the wind, there's the moon, and all these things take place, and then they bring forth to make the waves possible. So the waves are not independently arising entities of their own. The waves are actually causal reactions. The waves arise because of that. This arises because of that. That will arise because of this. So there is a chain of events taking place in order for the wave to rise in the ocean. So it's not just one thing. So similarly, that is also the same thing in the it is easier said than done. One needs to have a intellectual understanding is not sufficient. One has to apply that in one day-to-day life, and then see that for yourself. So this will take time to to deconstruct the theistic embedding that is in your the deconstruction of the theistic implantation within our mental continuum. This will take time, and unless this is taken out completely, then we will have difficulty. So back to your original question. So yeah, we can take baby steps, and we can practice on the impermanence. We can practice on selflessness, and so on and so forth, which will bring us closer and closer to the understanding of inherent the voidness of inherent existence. So there are a number of baby steps we can take. So yeah, when we practice when we practice those things, it will actually get us closer and closer to the ultimate goal. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Rinpoche, could I ask one question?
Please, Wilson.
First of all, thank you so much for these teachings. They're beautiful. But I was thinking from a Western point of view, your comment about Westerners being smart at one level, but when it comes to karma, it's just like a brick wall. And I think the previous question was on target in terms of the theistic background, but I've noticed another obstacle. The reason we're smart about it is the scientific method, but embedded within the scientific method is a assumption that everything is based on materialism. Everything is a material cause and effect. And so there's no sense of the mind as having its own continuum. And I wonder if you might comment on that and how Westerners might get past that obstacle, understanding karma.
Right. That'll be a thank you for the question, Wilson. Very deep observation. Yes, this will be actually much harder for people with a scientific background to deconstruct, because science is in trend, and for a century or so in the future, science will always be leading us. We will always look forward for science, and because of this, because we always look forward, we always look up to science, and science as we understand today is all about hugely about material development. And so therefore this will be a situation for at least as 1 century. So how do we deconstruct that? I don't have a ready-made answer at the moment, but I think if scientists are truthful, and if scientists can, let's say, impart their everyday experiences of the mind, of the non-matter, the maybe antimatter is not the right word. The scientists can feel, scientists can think, scientists know that they have a mind, but mind itself cannot be proven by science. So there is a difference. There's a gap between science and the scientists. So we need to close that gap. And in order to do that, we have to look for alternative methods of scientific research. So we in science we always have to look for up until now. In science we have to look for empirical evidence, and what I am feeling cannot be experienced by you, cannot be directly perceived by you, unless you have an omniscient mind, or omniscient mind. So therefore it cannot be empirically proven, it cannot be empirically evidenced. So we have to look for different ways, alternative methods of scientific research. And when we find alternative way of researching in science, then science can look into, then science will not be so much materialistic oriented. So right now the problem is there is a huge gap between the scientists and science. So even though scientists can experience and feel and have evidenced, let's say, have experienced mental factors and all sort of things, but one cannot ascertain the establishment. One cannot ascertain the existence of mind through scientific means. So scientific means, scientific methods, the research has to upgrade, or we have to look for alternative methods for scientific research. And when that happens, only after that we can improve, we can deconstruct reliance on the materialistic things in order to satiate our needs. That's what I feel.
Thank you. Good answer.
Thank you so
Just
much.
2 comments. There's a scientific philosopher named Chalmers who has said that consciousness is the hard problem of science, because scientists can quite say what it is. And then the other thing that tags on to what you were saying is that only recently physicists have started to study what is consciousness, but it's only recent. But you're right, there are no tools in the toolbox, the scientific toolbox, to really understand it. But thank you.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
I'm so grateful that you not only understand the depth of Buddhism, but also Western science. Very helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I know you want to end now, but just a quick question about science, because in the and again, this is maybe something just to think about. You know, a lot of the language around science is that science proves things. The way that I learned, you know, about science was that science doesn't prove anything; it disproves things. So, how much of that confusion is really, you know, what afflicts a lot of people of society, and you know, so that's just a question. I could give examples, but I don't want to take too much more time because I know you want to end.
I think, yeah, my answer is, yeah, you are right. I think it's science and Buddhism have His Holiness. I remember His Holiness saying one of the reasons that we find comparison, we find coherent comparison between science and harmonious comparison between science and Buddhism is the fact that both science and the Buddhism are looking for the truth in a sense, and also science differentiates, just like Buddhism does, between what one does not know, between what one does not know, and what one knows not to be existent. Between one does not know and between what one does not know and between what one deems to be untrue. So in our day-to-day life, for an unscientific mind, we usually assume something to be untrue when we don't feel like that to be true. When we cannot see the truth, we assume that to be untrue. But in science, in true science, even if you do not see something to be true, it doesn't mean you have unseen it as untrue. So therefore, even if you cannot see something to be even if you have not seen something to be true, it still does not mean that you haven't seen the length and breadth of this phenomena. And so therefore, the the true nature or untrue nature of that phenomena still exists beyond your assumption or beyond your knowledge.
Right.
So that is.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, so it leaves the room for potential, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Potentially true, right?
Potential. Yeah. Yeah. Similar to the. Yeah. Anyway, so I think I have taken quite a long. Taken some of the extra time, so I apologize to everyone for doing that. And so let's conclude the teaching here. So let's dedicate the merits that we have gained today for the welfare of all sentient beings, and that may all of us, all the sentient beings, including people participating, us participating in this dialogue, that we gain insight into the reality of all phenomena. The flawless view. Chanjo semjo Rinpoche maje panam ke jurochi geba nyamba meba yang kone kondo pewa sho toni tawa Rinpoche maje panam ke geba nyamba meba yang kone kondo pewa sho. So we will do 1 4-line mixima. Mi men ze de jen jen Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.